Welcome to Session 9, Learning about Communication. During this session, you will learn to use a variety of developmentally appropriate learning experiences and teaching strategies to promote children's language and literacy learning. You will also learn how to help them communicate their thoughts and feelings verbally and non-verbally. You will help dual language learners make progress in understanding and speaking both English and their home language. Item 6.1. You will be able to provide materials that promotes early literacy. Item 6.2. You will provide activities that promotes language development. Communication. To be an effective teacher, you need to have good communication skills. These skills are important for ease in expressing ideas and gaining trust with children, their families, and your peers. As a teacher, positive communication skills will help you form and maintain a close relationship with the children in your care. Your words will inform, explain, and guide them. Listening actively to what the children share is just as important as speaking. Effective communication with families is also vital. Most child care teachers have daily contact with the children's parents or guardians. Therefore, information is usually exchanged on a continuous basis. Early childhood teachers must also be able to form meaningful relationships with their colleagues. To provide a quality educational program for young children, all staff must work cooperatively, and this requires open communication. Let's review what a read out loud is. Read out loud is a planned oral reading of a book or print excerpt, usually related to a theme or topic of study. Reading out loud has been found to be one of the most important ways adults can foster children's emerging literacy. One of the most important discoveries children make when adults read to them is that reading can be an enjoyable activity. For if children are to become good readers, they must find pleasure with reading. And reading out loud presents a positive reading role model to all children. By listening to adults read, children also become familiar with the reading process itself. They begin to see how the written words on a page are matched to the reader's spoken words, and the print-to-speech connection is gradually established. When adults point to the words as they read or talk about various features, children begin to learn some of the concepts about print. Being read to also affords children the opportunity to hear what fluent reading sounds like, which is especially important for beginner readers. While many activities contribute to children's literacy development, none is more powerful than reading out loud. Research indicates the value of reading out loud to support each of the components of literacy development. The more children read, the better they become at reading. It's as simple as that. The more enjoyable the things they read are, the more they'll stick with them and develop the reading skills that they need for full access to information they need in their adult lives. Books help children develop vital language skills. Throughout toddlerhood and preschool, children are learning critical language and enunciation skills. By listening to you read, "One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish," your child is reinforcing the basic sounds that form language. Another form is pretend reading. When a toddler turns pages through a book with squeals and jabbers of delight, it is a very important pre-literacy activity. As a preschooler, your child will likely begin sounding out words on his own. Knowledge of printed letters and words and the relationships between sound and print. For most children, being read to is an emotionally satisfying experience. The intimacy and warmth children associate with sharing books with adults helps them to promote literacy as a source of enjoyment. This associating leads children to explore books, practice reading behaviors, and later read successfully for their own information and pleasure. Reading can open up new worlds and enrich children's lives. Through books and stories, children can also learn about people and places from other parts of the world. improving their understanding of and concern for all of humanity. This, in turn, contributes towards our sense that we truly live in a global village and may help us bring about a more peaceful future for everyone. This can happen through nonfiction, but perhaps even more importantly, reading stories that are set in other places and time periods can give children a deeper understanding of others through identification with individual characters and their plights. Why read out louds are important. The basics of how to read a book. Children aren't born with an innate knowledge that text is read from left to right, or that the words on a page are separate from the images. Essential pre-reading skills like these are among the major benefits of early reading. Reading can enhance children's social skills. At school or at a library story hour, books can bring children together and can be a part of a positive shared experience. For some preschoolers, this may be their primary opportunity to socialize and to learn how to behave around other children or how to sit quietly for a group activity. Make the most of this experience by encouraging children to talk about what they have read or heard. More logical thinking skills. Another illustration of the importance of reading to children is their ability to grasp abstract concepts, apply logic in various scenarios, recognize cause and effect, and utilize good judgment. As preschoolers begin to relate the scenarios in books to what's happening in his or her own world, he'll become more excited about the stories you share. Books also give kids the opportunity to flex their critical thinking skills in such areas as problem solving, the concepts of cause and effect, conflict resolution, and acceptance of responsibility for one's actions. Children can predict the patterns and successfully solve the riddles. The pleasure of reading. Reading should be viewed as a pleasurable activity, as a source of entertaining tales and useful and interesting factual information. Reading, by way of books, magazines, or websites, exposes kids to new vocabulary and new adventures. When preparing for a read out loud, preview the book before you read to children. This helps you spot material you may want to shorten, take out completely, or expand on. Think about your children, their ages, developmental levels, interests, and what you want them to get out of the story. That will help you decide what questions you want to ask or comments you want to make, and where, before, during, and after the story. If it is the first time you read the story out loud, consider asking questions, just a few questions, especially during the story, so that children get to hear the story with few interruptions. Before you begin reading the book, make sure everyone is comfortable. Show the cover and read the title and author of the book. Ask the children about the cover. Suggest things that children can look or listen for during the story. Ask some questions. Here are a few questions you could ask. What do you think this book is about? Why? Where do you think the story takes place? Have you ever read anything like this before? Flip through the pages and point out the illustrations to the children. Make predictions based on what you both see in the book. Discuss things that the children might have in common with the characters or the setting of the story. During the story, change your voice to fit the mood or action. Move your finger under the words as you read them. Show the pictures and talk about the book as you read. Add information or change words to help kids understand more words and explain the meaning of the new words. During the story, share your own thoughts about the story. Allow children to ask questions or make comments. Follow the cues of the children to respond to their age, background, and any individual characteristics or challenges. After the story, ask questions about the story. For example, you might ask some of the following questions. Do you remember what the title of the story is? Who is the author or the illustrator? Where does the story take place? Who is the most important character? Why? What is the problem or conflict in the story? How is it solved? Does this book remind you of another book? Why? How did the story make you feel? Did the illustrations help tell the story? Has anything that takes place in the story ever happened to you? What is your favorite part of the story and why? Ask children to describe one of the characters in the story, or how they might feel or act if they were one of the characters. Extend the story with another activity or book. Here are a few ideas to extend reading out loud. After you read the book, let the children make their own books using old magazines or newspapers. Have a book reading bonanza. Select your most beautiful, colorful, and fun books and spread them out in the corner of a room. Have your children between the ages of 4 and 5 join teachers in this area to explore the books. They need not read them per se, but just investigate the covers, pictures, letters, whatever attracts them. If a child wants to read the story through the pictures, that's great. Give each child a post-it of a different color and let them post them on their favorite book. The most post-it is read as the story for the day. Another idea is to do a book trivia. You would write down something from their favorite book on an index card and pull the questions from a bag. One question could say, "They went across the bridge, clip, clop, and the children would shout out what it is. 3 Billy Goat Gruff." Another way is to make a statement, such as, "I'm thinking of a color that rhymes with mean." The children would shout out, "Green." "I'm thinking of a color that rhymes with bed." The children would shout out, "Red." You can play trivia with all their favorite books, their favorite poems, their favorite songs, and this is also an excellent review game for the children to learn and use their thinking skills. Another idea is to make your own Chicka Chicka Boom Boom tree. Create a tree mural on a bulletin board or wall. Attach Velcro strips to the tree. Cut out letters to represent the first letter or each child's name. Punch a hole in each letter and attach a piece of yarn. Read the book Chicka Chicka Boom Boom and encourage your children to visit the tree to find the letters that their name begins with and wear their letters as a necklace. Cut from the magazine or newspapers pictures that represent parts of the story. Example, the very hungry caterpillar, fruits, butterflies, food, cocoon, and other things. Extend and expand the topic. Prepare children for the reading by taking a picture walk. Try to make your transition to the next activity connect to the book in some way. When children finish a book, give children new information about the book topic to expand their understanding about the world. Introduce the story by previewing the pictures. Ask children to predict what the story is about by looking at the pictures. Now let's move on to environments that support language and early literacy skills. To help children with literacy skills, provide management charts throughout the classroom. Some of these could include area signs, classroom rules, bus safety rules, attendance charts, helpers charts, daily routines, transition charts, and other things. Your classroom should be immersed in print that includes labeling of materials, equipment, numbers, and children's names on their belongings. Print has meaning, and the function is to either tell a story or convey information. The children can learn a lot through things that are posted throughout the classroom. In your classroom, children's names should be at least printed 4 times in the classroom somewhere. For example, on a word wall, alphabet wall, cots, cubbies, helper's chart, material labels, and name tags. Ensure to label the items in your classroom in both the home language and in the new language. This will allow for the children to have repetition needed and the word association required to learn. How could you make it more challenging for a child who is ready to move on? Take a few moments and identify specific strategies you think you could use in your classroom. When labeling in more than one language, make each language its own color. For example, English could be blue while Spanish should be red. This helps young children recognize the differences in languages. The purpose of writing is to communicate either with others or within ourselves. Children come to understand the purpose of writing quite early, when they interact with supportive adults who model the act of writing while talking about what they are doing. Most young children find it easier to learn to form the letters of the alphabet than to read them. One reason for this may be that writing is something that can be controlled, while reading requires them to find meaning in the words that other people have created. New information on emergent literacy indicates that reading and writing are complementary processes, each of which supports the learning of the other, and that children develop an understanding of writing and construct concepts of the functions of written language at an early age than previously thought. Writing is an essential part of a preschool program and supports the development of several components of literacy. Although teachers demonstrate letter formation, the main focus in preschool is writing as a communication tool rather than handwriting instruction. As children attempt to compose their own stories by dictating or writing them on their own, they develop and refine their sense of story. When children respond to a variety of literature by producing their own, they learn about the features and structures of each. Remember that the handwriting process helps promote children's understanding of books. Writing is best done at the child's developmental level. No workbooks or color sheets should be allowed. Lined paper only when ready. Oral language development. What is conversation? It is oral exchange of sentiments, observations, opinions, or ideas. An instance of such exchange. What is exchange? The act of giving or taking one thing in return for another. The act or process of substituting one thing for another. Reciprocal giving and receiving. Think about how you can enhance young children's language development. There are three main ideas to consider when talking with children. Make sure the experience or activity you are talking about is developmentally appropriate. It should match the children's interests and not be too easy or too hard for them. Follow the child's lead. Share the moment. Let the child know you are paying attention, listening, and responding to what he or she is saying and doing at that moment. How do children learn about language? Young children also learn about language in the same way they make sense of other experiences. That is through active learning. When children imitate, explore, experiment, and try out their ideas, they acquire knowledge about language. In the early childhood classroom, silence is not golden. Spoken words are opportunities for learning that should take place throughout the day, especially during conversations between children and between teachers and children. Children learn best through everyday experiences because they are naturally curious, active, and eager to learn and try new things out. Through play, they learn about themselves, others, their environment, and the world at large. In the early years of life, infants and toddlers communicate through gestures and their eyes. Pay attention to what they are doing. Respond to their gestures and sounds. Give names to objects and actions. Make language a part of playtime. Ask the child questions. Talk about what they are doing. That is called self-talk. Talk about what the child is doing, which is parallel talk. Here are a few examples of parallel talk. You are building with soft blocks. You are looking at the book. You are pushing the baby in the stroller. You are dancing to the music. You are turning the puzzle pieces to make it fit. Here are a few for self-talk. I am putting on the blue construction hat. I am buttoning my coat. I am putting the purple peg in the board. I am turning the water on. I am filling the bucket with sand. Show your interest. To help children become interested in communication, we need to let them see that we are genuinely want to talk with them. Make eye contact with them. Position your body towards them. Use your voice and be attentive. Think about it. We respond to others when we know they're interested in what we are doing or saying. To help children become interested in communication, we need to let them see that we are genuinely want to talk with them. The first step is to get down to the child's level, making eye contact and using a voice and gestures to show the child that he or she has our focused attention. Look for opportunities to engage children in conversation. This can be done through routines. It can be opportunities to listen to and talk with children during playtime, story time, dramatic playtime. One of the measures of excellence in childcare is the quality of conversations that occur between providers and children. Conversations are important for the social and emotional development of young children. They also play an important role in promoting the development of oral language, which is essential for literacy. Oral language includes skills like talking and taking part in conversation, and listening to others and understanding stories. Children need frequent opportunities to talk about their experiences and ideas using words, phrases, and sentences. As children play and explore during work time and outside time, remain in one place long enough to engage children in extended conversations, observing children first to decide if your entrance would be welcomed or not. Then comment on something they are doing or playing with. Ask children to share personal experiences. Allow children to initiate conversations. Follow the child's lead. Encourage children to initiate conversations. Pay close attention to what a child is trying to tell or show you. As the child begins to develop his or her own language, the nature of conversation shifts, and the child begins to initiate his or her own conversations. Children with even very basic language skills or language delays can and should initiate conversations with caregivers if they are encouraged to do so. Responding to a child's curiosity fuels it and conveys to the child that his or her ideas are interesting. The use of open-ended questions. Open-ended questions invite kids to imagine, elaborate, and tell stories. You'll get more information and get to know children better when you ask open-ended questions. Using open-ended questions is an important strategy for encouraging children's language development. Open-ended questions engage children in more extended conversations and encourage the development of expressive language abilities. Helping children talk through problems prepares them for being able to think through their problems. Here are some common ways to start an open-ended question. You could start off with saying, "What would happen if?" "I wonder." "What do you think about?" "In what way?" "Tell me about." "What would you do?" And "How can we?" Closed-ended questions versus open-ended questions. With a closed-ended question, you would only be able to receive one answer, such as, "What color is this piece?" "How many pieces do you have?" With the open-ended question, you could have several different types of answers. If a child is drawing the alphabet, ask, "Tell me about your picture."